What's up, guys? I know this is very early for me to be pumping out a review video, probably the earliest I've ever gotten any video out to you guys. It is currently 4 a.m. at the filming of this video, but I gotta hit up Buffalo, New York, like right now. But we ain't going to Buffalo, we ain't going anywhere until I talk pro wrestling with my amplified unit. And that's what we're going to do right now. Smackdown, February 7th, 2020. This again is an audio format, more specifically, but the only other option is I wasn't going to be able to make any videos. So I know you guys are cool with this format, and I appreciate it. As long as you guys, no matter what the format is, want to talk pro wrestling with the Amplified Man, then I assure you BC is going to talk pro wrestling with his unit. And this will be no different. So let's talk, man. Buffalo can wait. Right now, we got some SmackDown to talk about. And let me tell you, two shockers, right? Goldberg and who he actually chose last night. That was a shocker for the Ant-Man. And then on top of that, Naomi. And the finish to Naomi's match. Couldn't believe it. We'll talk about all that and a lot more from this SmackDown. But I want to start right at the top. Right out of the gate with Miz and Morrison. Because they kicked off SmackDown with the return of the Dirt Sheet. They talked that smack about the current tag title holders of the blue brand, and they even played a trailer basically predicting new tag title holders. That, of course, is themselves. This trailer was actually funny. It had John Laurinaitis, even had Daddy Miz, and it's always good to see Daddy Miz, man. He's funny as hell. But one team that didn't think it was too funny, that was the New Day. They ended up coming to the ring to have some words for Miz and Morrison, but they were quickly interrupted by the Usos. And can I just say there was basically zero reaction for the Usos, and that was quite sad actually, because you guys know I like the Usos. But that's what bad booking will do for you. When they came back, they were just Roman Reigns' henchmen. They were just role players in Roman Reigns' storyline. And that's not how you bring the Usos back after being gone for months. They needed to be brought back in their own storyline, not connected to their superstar cousin Roman. And I knew that was going to be an issue. And if you guys go back and watch their entrance last night, it was kind of sad. The fans were not behind it, and it's almost like they were done with the Usos. And again, that is quite sad for me because I like them, and I think they have so much potential and so much more to offer. So that was a sad entrance last night by the Usos, and it didn't make anything better that they really didn't have a purpose out there with the Dirt Sheet in the New Day. What do I mean? Well, the Usos say a couple of words, and they're quickly cut off by Dolph and Robert Roode. Miz and Morrison attacked the New Day from behind because the New Day was distracted by the Usos and Roode and Ziggler being out there. So the Dirt Sheet attacks the New Day. The Usos jump in to try to help the New Day, but the Dirt Sheet retreats. And we go to commercial. Are you guys even keeping track? Do you even care? What was all that about? But when we come back from commercial, we all found out it was just an Usos versus Roode and Ziggler tag match. So that whole opening, WWE tried to get cute and put two different feud/matches together. We can take care of the New Day and Morrison and Miz, while also setting up the match between Usos, Roode, and Ziggler. They just forgot one major detail. You have to make it intriguing, make it fun, captivate us, make us want to see this. That whole first segment was so sloppy. And when we come back, it's just the Usos and Roode and Ziggler. Where's the New Day? What happened to the Dirt Sheet? And again, these are supposed to be world-class professional writers that are writing this. Whether it gets filtered through Vincent Kennedy McMahon or not, they need to do better with this type of storytelling or lack thereof. I don't have a problem with the match as much as I do with the setup for it, but I digress. The match was decent between these two teams, a little bit longer than I needed. It was over 15 minutes. The Usos win, and truthfully, that's that. There's no other talking point to discuss here. The Usos beat Roode and Ziggler. Okay, everybody beats Roode and Ziggler. What's the point? What's it lead to? Winning a match is good, But if you're just going to place them in 50-50 booking like everyone else, then this was all for nothing. Or is this a miracle? Do you have something for the Usos going forward? And that I won't believe until I actually see it. Next up, we have Elias versus Cesaro. Of course, this is a continuation from last week when Elias mocked Sami Zayn after Shinsuke just lost the IC strap to Strowman. So Zayn last week told Cesaro to go to the ring and take care of Elias. Of course, the reverse ended up happening, and Elias took care of Cesaro instead. So for this week, these two went at it pretty heavy out of the gate, and pretty evenly matched as well. At the end, a flying elbow from the top puts Cesaro away, and Elias takes the W. Second week in a row that Elias is being booked to look strong, or at least the strongest he's ever been, to date. You guys know I'm high on Elias too. I would like to see a lot of good things for him, but just like the Usos, winning a match does nothing. You have to make them, allow them to win a string of matches. Consistency matters when you're trying to build superstars. If you give them 2 inches but then take them back 12, they gain nothing. You lose traction, and you'll lose the character in the process. If you're actually going to give these gentlemen a push, give them the push. No 50-50 booking, that'll ruin them. Our number 1 at this point was over. Nothing newsworthy at this point. You had the weird thing with the dirt sheet in the New Day, and then the Usos and Rude and Ziggler got involved. That led into a Rude Ziggler-Usos match. Nothing newsworthy came out of that. That led into Elias and Cesaro. Nothing newsworthy came from that. And here we are going into the second hour. Baron Corbin starts the second hour, so if you were looking for intrigue, fun, something captivating, you came to the wrong place. Wrong time. Corbin not only kicks off the second hour, but he's on the mic demanding a rematch with Roman Reigns, because that's all we all need. Let's have another Roman Reigns versus Baron Corbin match. Yes, please. He singles out a fan that was heckling him, and Corbin dumps a drink over his dome piece. The fan is like, what? Obviously, that was just a plant by WWE. But okay, it's a nice little caveat. It's a nice little addition to an already boring segment. Roman then hits the ring with some gusto. Corbin ends up retreating. Roman grabs the mic and agrees to yet another match with Baron Corbin. This one, he says, will be in a steel cage. Okay. Here's my problem with this, and this isn't just being negative. This is just looking at it from the most fair point of view. Wouldn't we all agree that the ending at the Royal Rumble, Falls Count Anywhere in a baseball stadium, taking a spear, because Corbin took a spear, on top of the dugout, and that lasting ending visual, wouldn't we all agree that's the way that should have ended this whole feud/storyline? Why? Why does anybody need to see this continue when it ended beautifully? Let's be done with it. Even the people that were against this feud, like yours truly, I just didn't find it captivating. I will be the first to admit, pretty badass way to end the match. Pretty badass way to end the feud. Spear on the dugout in front of tens of thousands of people in that baseball stadium at one of your biggest pay-per-views, the Royal Rumble. Cool, let's be done with it. Now you're ruining that legacy. You're ruining that spot now. Because now we continue. Now we go to a steel cage. Where does it end? There'll be an elimination chamber. There'll be a ladder match, a tables match. This thing might go through 2022. And if it was just really intriguing, if it really captivated us, if it was fun, if it was electric, if we were all into it, then that's one thing. But when it's something that's it's just not clicking, those are the ones that Vince, for some reason, continues on. And I love long-lasting storylines. I'm old school. But they gotta be fun. We have to be into the story. It can't be like a Rusev and Lashley thing. It had potential at the beginning, Rusev and Lashley, but quickly, it went awry. Quickly, the train fell off the tracks, and they were not able to get that train back on the tracks, and Vince stuck with it. And week after week, he would put it right in the main events, even, of Monday Night Raw. Nobody knew why. What are you doing, dude? Nobody wants to see this. Or you're not doing it correctly. He didn't care. The stubborn old man in Stamford kept parading them out there. Well, it's the same thing with Corbin and Roman. Anyway, that's how they kick off the top of the second hour. So you know this is one of his big matchups in the future. Corbin and Reigns. And for the fan base, yes, there's going to be a lot of people out there, and I use the term a lot very loosely, but a lot of the Roman fans, and even Corbin, maybe he has some fans, they're going to be all into this maybe. But for the pro wrestling fans out there that want more, that feel like they deserve more, that our standards are higher, this is unacceptable. How many rematches do we honestly need to see after that finish of the Rumble? This isn't just another rematch. We just saw what they did at the Rumble. And you're telling me this needs to continue? Stop it. We've seen them in tag matches, 6-man tag matches, one-on-ones, too many times. Anyway, that's that. Then we led into Goldberg's segment. This is basically Michael Cole interviewing Goldberg. Goldberg is in his home garage. You can see his black muscle car behind him. And Goldberg is in his element. Michael Cole just basically asks him straight out, you know, you get to pick, basically. You have the golden ticket. And Goldberg, who is next? And Goldberg starts talking about Brock Lesnar up front. He talks about how Lesnar kind of has his hands full. First, he has Ricochet at Super Showdown. Then he's got his hands full with Drew McIntyre at WrestleMania. But he says the Universal Championship still intrigues him, because he held that too short. And let's be honest, he never got a rematch, he said. So he's eyeing the Universal Championship. He's pretty much cut off at this point, and we have a Firefly Funhouse interrupting Goldberg. Bray Wyatt has a little bit of a sports jacket tie kind of shindig going on. He's a newscaster, or at least he's playing the role of a newscaster, and he has breaking news in the Firefly Funhouse. And he says the Fiend accepts. So the breaking news is Bray Wyatt says, "You're on, Goldberg." Goldberg now has that look in his eyes, and he yells out, "Bray Wyatt, you're next!" And just like that, the Amplified man's thinking, I never thought of that. That's a damn fun match concept. Now, will the match actually deliver? Probably not as much as I would hope it would. But it's still going to be damn fun building up to it the couple weeks that we do have, and just seeing them eye to eye, face to face in that ring together. Man, that's going to be a moment. I see this going only one way. It's time for Goldberg to pay one of those dues yet again. This has to be the Fiend, Bray Wyatt, totally taking out Goldberg, like we have never seen Goldberg taken out before. It has to be that type of situation. Goldberg collects the big payday. He gets to be in the middle of that ring again in a high-profile match. But it's this new generation that needs to take not just precedent, not take the victory in the win, but needs to do it in decisive fashion. And that's why the Fiend, Bray Wyatt, come Super Showdown, he's got to have one of those epic moments, and it has to be at the expense of Goldberg. It's going to be a big moment. I hope they do it right. But I am absolutely intrigued by this, and I never thought that they would actually go ahead and do this, Goldberg and Bray Wyatt, because I would have thought Goldberg would try to protect himself too much. We know Goldberg will do a job, but only to an extent. But with the Fiend, especially where the Fiend is with this new character, and this short into this new character's run, you have to really put the Fiend over. This can't be halfway done, half-assed. This needs to be done correctly in full throttle. So for Goldberg to commit to this, Goldberg needs to know up front, he's doing the job tenfold. But wow, what a moment when he alluded to Bray Wyatt, and Wyatt said, "The Fiend accepts." And Goldberg yelled out, "You're next." Man, when they see eye to eye in that ring, that could be a goosebumps moment, and I'm looking forward to it. Speaking of the Fiend, Daniel Bryan was actually up next. We know we haven't seen him since the Royal Rumble. And the lashings that he took, I mean, between him and Cody, you talk about cringeworthy moments. They took some straps to that back, man. Daniel Bryan and Cody in the last couple weeks. But Daniel Bryan returned last night. He took on Heath Slater, and it wasn't so much a match as it was a Daniel Bryan clinic in a Heath Slater ass whooping. D-Bry stomps a mud hole in Slater that Stone Cold would have been proud of, and then he taps Heath Slater out quickly within just a couple minutes. Daniel Bryan had this vicious side to him. And as Michael Cole alluded to, they say when you take on the Fiend, you become a changed man. Well, Daniel Bryan, he was not having it last night. Heath Slater just found himself in the wrong situation. Renee Young was up next, middle of the ring. Good to see Renee Young in the middle of the ring of SmackDown, and she's about to interview new Intercontinental Champion Braun Strowman. Not much of an interview as Sami Zayn and Shinsuke Nakamura interrupt. Zayn demands a rematch, and Strowman says any place, any time, including now, here in San Jose. Sami Zayn's like, first of all, if you think we're going to do a match in San Jose, you got another thing coming. No, this is going to be much more strategic. We're going to pick our time and place. And just as he's telling Strowman this, from behind Strowman, the Revival attacks Strowman. And again, this is from behind, but it did absolutely nothing. Literally did nothing. Braun got the upper hand from the Revival within 30 seconds, and Braun Strowman ends up taking everybody out until he gets back in the ring and Shinsuke Nakamura is able to take him out. I believe it was knee to face, or as close as the dome piece as he can get. I mean, Braun's a pretty tall dude, but Shinsuke was able to get most, if not all of it, and Strowman was down and out. So I do like that. If you're going to take everybody out, you can't also take out Shinsuke. I mean, you've already taken his championship. What more are you going to take from him? The dude's pride now? Shinsuke has to look like he's worthy of a rematch, so Shinsuke had to get the upper hand on Strowman. So I do like that. I don't like the way the Revival was used. They attack 2-on-1, a dude from behind, and in 30 seconds, they're both being taken out. The Revival, just like most of their main roster career, was just booked like jokes last night. If that doesn't tell you they're on their way out soon, I don't know what does. Or at least I'd be begging to get the heck out of there. Because the way they're being booked, man, you can't. I understand the dude's tall, he's big, but 2-on-1, and in just 30 seconds you're taken out. Man, the Revival, they have to be pissed the way they're being booked. But anyway, this sets up a rematch. Nakamura, Braun Strowman. I already see the end result here. It's going to be obviously Strowman defeating Nakamura, so I don't know if I want to see Nakamura continue this just knowing he's going to lose. I really was hoping that they have something for Nakamura. After the title loss, that's okay. If you don't want him to be champion, Vince, that's cool, but have something for him. Because even as Intercontinental Champion, Shinsuke was irrelevant. So at least put him in a story that we care about. Put him in something cool and put him in something that's going to skyrocket him. No, Vince is like, let's put him in another match with Braun and have him drop another match. Brilliant, Vince, brilliant. How can we make Nakamura make him look more like a loser? Let's have him lose more. I don't know. I question these decisions, guys, but I guess that's my job as an analyst in these videos. Beastie, you're overthinking it, man. It's my job, man. That's why thousands of people tune into these videos, because people want me to overanalyze it and look at it from every single angle, from every individual's viewpoint. Not just as a fan and watching it all as a whole. You have to break it down and dissect it and what it means for everybody going forward. That's the whole point about what I do on these videos. And when I do it and I see something like the Revival in the way they're being booked, or a Shinsuke, it becomes extremely frustrating. At least we got some comedy up next. This was Otis. He was setting up for the Otis Valentine's Day date night with Mandy that's coming up next Friday on Valentine's Day. And Tucker they're trying to teach Otis how to, dinner etiquette, basically. And Otis is trying to put his little napkin on like it's a bib. Instead of cutting up his steak, he's just got the whole thing on his fork. If he's even using a fork, I already forgot. He accidentally tipped over the entire table when he stood up. I'm just thinking, oh, this is going to go beautifully with Mandy Rose next Friday. I love it. But it's the old saying, you got to be yourself first and foremost, man. Unless you literally have zero personality, then I really do feel bad for you. But as long as you have a personality, you have some type of charisma to you, you have confidence, or at least some confidence, just be yourself, dude. And if you can amplify that a little bit, the girl's gonna love you. They want you to be yourself. They want you to be funny. It helps if you're good looking, yeah. But You can't force Otis to know how to place a napkin on himself or to learn how to cut steak and to, it's not going to happen. So I think it's going to be fun next Friday if they develop enough time to this, like they did with, remember Sexual Chocolate, Mark Henry and Mae Young. Remember their dates, and they would spend a lot of time in the restaurants with them. I'd like to see something like that with Mandy and Otis next week. We could use the laughs for sure, especially with Vince McMahon's horrendous booking. We could all use a nice laugh. But I thought that was kind of funny last night. Then we went into Sheamus versus Apollo Crews. This was really sad to watch as it pertains to Apollo Crews. Not only does Apollo not get a proper entrance, but he's defeated via bro kick in about 25 seconds. I mean, you remember Apollo Crews and how badass he was in NXT. I'm not saying to a championship level, but Apollo Crews, you looked at him and you said, whoa, he's going to be something just awesome. Not just in this business, but in that company, whether it's main roster, NXT, this dude is going to be awesome for years to come. That's how we looked at him in NXT, and here we are in 2020. And it's just sad. It's not just the fact that he didn't get the proper entrance, but to see him lose in 25 seconds. And then you had Shorty G. This guy's name. This gets me every time. Shorty G. He tries to do, well, something. He gets in the ring, and I don't know what he was trying to do, but he failed miserably because Sheamus just gives him a bro kick. And the G that is short rethinks his decision-making, or he probably is rethinking his decision-making. It's just amazing to me. Who thinks of this backstage or around the boardroom table meeting in Stamford, Connecticut? Oh, we'll have Apollo Crews lose in 25 seconds, and hey, what about Shorty G? He just had a feud with Sheamus around Royal Rumble. We'll have him come in and get bro kicked. Yeah, that'll be awesome for Shorty G. Vince is like, I love the idea. I love it. It'll be as awesome as giving him the name Shorty G. At least I can find laughter, and I have to because there's so much sorrow in this. Apollo in 25 seconds, in the G that is short, getting bro kicked. And again, if Shorty G isn't rethinking his decision-making and rethinking why I even went with the Shorty G concept, why I was sold when Vince McMahon said this is going to make you something. No, when you were Chad Gable, and you weren't dressed up like a clown, and you were actually being a legit athlete in Superstar, that's when you had something going for you. Not as a G that is too short. This led us into our main event, Fatal 4-Way match. Winner gets a shot at Bayley's SmackDown Women's Championship. This is Naomi taking on Carmella, taking on Dana Brooke, taking on Alexa Bliss. So basically, it's Naomi versus Vince's Blonde Bombshell Brigade. Oh, is Naomi going to get out of this Blonde Bombshell Brigade or what, man? And how is she going to do it? You had to think that they were going to give this to Naomi because she just started or what it looked to be, she started a whole series with Bayley last week. And she started the story with Bayley last week. So I thought, okay, this is obviously Naomi's. But man, I couldn't have been more wrong. First and foremost, in just 2 minutes, Naomi started mixing it up with Bayley, who was watching on from outside. Bayley cascades Naomi into the steps as we go to commercial. When we come back from commercial, all 4 of these females are going for broke and busting their ass. And they're holding their own too, which was good to see, all of them. At the end of this thing, a missed twisted Bliss by Alexa into a rear view by Naomi. And I thought that was a wrap. It was a good sequence at the end. But Carmella pops a couple of super kicks onto Naomi, and Naomi is out like a light. Carmella ends up winning this thing. Bayley ends up dropping her immediately to make a statement, and we go off the air. You talk about shocked. I honestly thought this was Naomi's, guys. Yeah, I was like, whoa, what? Carmella and Bayley? Are you kidding me? Especially after they just started something with Bayley and Naomi last week. But here's why I'm not going to totally flip yet, guys. Hear me out. Because my concern last week, I told you guys it was great to see Naomi mixing it up with the champion. However, if she is just a bridge to get Bayley onto something bigger and better, supposedly for toward WrestleMania, then I don't want Naomi to just be a bridge. I don't want Naomi to just get a championship match after a couple of weeks of a build and then go right back into irrelevancy. We saw that with Sasha Banks when she came back with Becky Lynch. There was a couple of weeks build to Hell in a Cell. She lost the match to Lynch, and Sasha Banks was right back into irrelevancy. We saw it with Ember Moon around SummerSlam. There was a couple weeks build with Ember Moon to get to a championship match with Bayley at SummerSlam. She lost the match, and Ember Moon was back into irrelevancy. I didn't want the same thing for Naomi. So this could be a blessing in disguise. Hear me out. Maybe now Carmella is the bridge. They get that match over with, and maybe it's Naomi heading into WrestleMania to take the strap from Bayley. That would be a huge earned and deserved moment for Naomi. Now, I know a lot of you guys are thinking, but BC, I would rather Sasha and Bayley. Guys, you're not going to get that. It's not happening unless Vince really hears us, which doesn't ever happen, or at least want to hear us, give us what we actually want. You're not getting Sasha and Bayley. And they would have to start that like a month ago if they wanted to do it correctly. You're not going to rush Sasha and Bayley, as much as we would love to see it. I mean, at this point, Sasha's still injured with an ankle injury. She can't even compete right now. And you're already talking about Sasha and Bayley. So, what if you get Naomi to win finally on the biggest stage? She wins the championship. Not goes into WrestleMania with a strap, but she wins it on the big stage. That could be kind of cool. Or at the very least, just not just be a bridge. Not just a couple week build. We gave you a title match. You lost. Now go back to the beginning of the line. I don't want to see that for Naomi. She's too talented. She's too athletic. She's too gifted. You saw it in that ring last night with the other three females. You saw that there was one far and more superb than the others, and her name was Naomi. You got to give those talented ones the chance sometimes. You know, you can't give the same ones over and over. Those chances. If Carmella is the bridge and Naomi, now they have something better for her, and it's not just because it's Black History Month, but because she's actually a gifted superstar, then that's going to be 10 times better than the bridge scenario. So hopefully you guys are understand where I'm coming from and why I'm not going to flip out yet. But we started to see it last week between Bayley and Naomi. We saw it even more last night. I don't think Naomi and Bayley is over with. I think there's more to come, and I'm hoping anyway, that there's something special planned for Naomi going forward. I'm not going to flip out yet. However, if this leads to Naomi totally being pushed out of this whole scenario, yeah, then we're going to have some words for the old man in Stamford, Connecticut. No doubt. And that, my friends, was SmackDown for February 7th, 2020. Had a lot of non-newsworthy outcomes, like the tag match with the Usos, Rude and Ziggler, Elias and Cesaro, the G that is short, and Apollo and Sheamus and that whole ordeal, Cesaro and Elias. Did I already say that one? Who knows? I mean, it was just a lot of filler last night, and I was hoping for a little more. It doesn't feel like it, but we are actually on the road to WrestleMania. And just because it's February doesn't mean you can just have filler shows. I want more. We should be excited about Mania, not just Super Showdown. That's just Thursday afternoon. A lot of people are going to be at work, school, whatever, not even going to watch it live. But Elimination Chamber and heading toward Mania, right now we should be excited. Not next week, not next month. Now. And I saw a lot of filler last night. The two newsworthy topics and items were Goldberg and picking Bray Wyatt, right? That's the one thing that intrigues me going forward. And the other newsworthy topic just scares us, and that's Naomi losing that match. Naomi doesn't even get the title opportunity right now. But again, if it leads to something better in a bigger stage title opportunity, then we'll be okay with it. But that remains to be seen. You can't hold your breath with the old man, because every time you think you know how something should work out and pan out, the old man throws us all for a curve. Anyway, guys, that's that. Thank you for all the content this week. In yesterday's video especially, we had the results, the podcast, the 52nd ever amplified podcast, where we went over all the results for who you guys decided. Who's the top male and top female superstar? Who would you choose to pay and spend your money on if they were in your town? Which two superstars, male, female? We held the voting from Monday to Thursday night, and then yesterday, we had that podcast where I revealed your guys' decisions, the final votes. Some of it was shocking, and some of it, You probably saw it coming from a mile away, absolutely. And that's because it doesn't take a rocket scientist. You can tell by the reactions that these superstars get. Not just on TV, but if you ever show up to a live event. Not just the pop from their initial entrance either. When the music stops, gauge the crowd reaction. You'll be able to see who's really captivating and who's not. And that's what I hope this study helped do for all my Amplified unit. That's it. I'm already so late to get up to Buffalo. Thank you guys for tuning into this whole week's worth of video/audio formatted vids. And I can't wait to do it again. So much more next week and beyond as we are on the WrestleMania road, baby. And it's a bumpy freaking road. No more filler shows, Vince. Give us real, impactful, meaningful shows. Please, get us excited for Mania, man. I'm not feeling that right now. Anyway, kick the rest of this weekend's ass, unit. Check you later.